pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Copeland is absent. Tom Baylor,
Here.
Ken Jones,
Here.
Jeff Guard,
Here.
Melina Meyer,
Here.
Ann Schaefer,
Here.
David Allison,
Here.
David Gleason,
Here.
and William Deaton.
Here.
That's a quorum.
Move to approve the regular agenda.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Agenda is approved. Any disclosure of conflicts of interest, ex parte communications disclosed by council? Seeing none, we're going to go to communications by petitioners and visitors. We didn't have one. We should have maybe amended the agenda, but I'd like to put Dean there so that we can get him up here so we don't stay the rest of the meeting to give us a breakdown of this financial report that we have. Should have everyone got a handout? A memo. I think we all have it now.
Okay. So this is basically a financial report. I just finished about an hour ago, so an hour and a half. How do you say it? You're better than last year, but it's still not good. So that's good, because if you look from September 18 to now, you know, your revenues are up, your expenses are up, but your deficit's a little bit higher. You're okay there. But if you go overall, your overall city budget, last year you were at a negative almost $1 million. This year it's a negative 95,000, and that's including all funds, all revenues, everything. So citywide, you're doing better. General fund is pretty much right where it's been every year. Like I like to say is, you know, I think you've been in the same spot, but in the past you didn't know it because it was spread out everywhere. So now it's here. So when I go back and realign past years, you're right where you've been every year. It's not a good spot. Your general fund, $700,000 in the hole at the end of September. But it's the same where it's been, it looks like back every year. So you're staying pretty steady. So that gives you a good starting point. You're steady. Now it's time to start working the other way, getting cleaning it up. So the next page shows your cash balances. Your repo account, it's got close to $1 million more in it than it did a year ago. Your general fund is $700,000 in the hole. Last year it was $800,000, so it's better. So it's doing better. Enterprise funds were negative last year. They're positives, got a positive cash this year, or balance when you add them all together. So again, it's doing better than it was a year ago. Kudos to Alan and the staff because they've been holding steady. So I want to point out at the bottom here is what I like is the debt service. You retired 3 debt service this year, and you're going to retire 2 more next year. So they're just dropping off. I added our debt payment schedules in the back. And if you look at the very right-hand column, you'll see last payment, last payment, last payment. So there's 3 in 2019 that you're done with. And then when you jump over to 2020, which is the next page, there's 2 that are going to drop off. And then there's where your money for the $44,000 comes in on the debt payment, where we're making the payment. And that's for the next 5 years to pay that back. So that's what it is. You know, it's good, but there's still room to get better, or it's better. So,
Alan?
I just saw everybody's ears perk up when he said 707 in the hole.
yeah,
That's not where you are at the end of the year.
yeah,
That's where you are year to date, because expenses are consistent month by month. and revenues are not consistent. If you go back and look at your audit from 2018, you'll see that that number is significantly smaller than that.
And it should be. Because the first week of October, when I got it, we applied for our last school debt service, and they've already sent us close to 200,000 for our last debt payments we did. So that came in the 4th of October. That's not included in this because that's 4 days after this. So, and then we've still got property tax coming in. Our next quarter of sales tax comes in October, so that should be another big bump. So
Realistic,
hopefully next month, this number will be going positive. And then you've also got the, there's one more big payment,
Fish tax.
fish tax,
Fish
that's
tax.
the one. And we're hoping that'll come in any day now. So
so realistically, you could end up the year with a surplus and not a deficit. So the 707 is just a year-to-date number comparing revenues and expenses.
yes. See, remember what I said last time, I think it was back in May. We need to get to a point in December where we get our fund balance built up higher than it is now, because starting in January, you start using your fund balance because you've got all your revenues in, and you don't get any more revenues until July, August, September, big ones. So for those first 6 months, you're using this number down, and your general fund's going to go negative again the beginning of next year as you start spending it down. But you have to get to a certain point in December where you've got enough money to cover those negatives until you get money back up. And that's not something you're going to do in a year or probably even two. It's going to take a few years to work towards that. And that's where you need to figure out what number we need, how much we spend, where you got to be at the end of the year.
And that's why that bigger fish tax number has just replenished our repurchase account, the swimming pool of money.
Yeah.
It hasn't made us better off at the end of the year. It's just it's replenished our ability to operate comfortably.
Clayson, did you have a question?
Yeah, like I say,
So-
but budgeting fish tax low, just real quick, and then letting it come in high, that's how you'll build up your fund balance in December to get it where you need it to be to get through the lean times. Some of those. Yes, sir.
The enterprise funds, it says not including reserves, so those are in the available catch repurchase account. They're,
Right, that's that's part of the repurchase.
so the bulk of that is the
It-
enterprise funds, and about 1.3 is
I
ours.
think if you go back to that cash report, yes. Well, actually, if you look at them, the bulk of it's probably Harbor,
Yeah,
because your water fund has a negative 500,000.
that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, so it's got some places that it's got to get worked on. It's been negative, it was even negative in the spring when we did the first report, so it's kind of hanging out about that 500,000 in the whole number.
I thought,
So what's coming in, they're spending, it's kind of balanced. So maybe this 5% each year, if they can just get it, start building it back up.
Baylor?
So a little off topic, and you don't have to answer this tonight, but it's something I wish you'd think about and maybe come back with an answer at the next meeting, but Alaska Airlines credit cards.
We've been looking at it. I've got a big file on the desk. Alan's been talking about it. The biggest problem with the Alaska Airlines credit card is they want a person's name on it. Like, I have to put my name on and I have to guarantee that city card. They won't let you put the city number and the city guarantee it. So you have to get an employee who will guarantee this card.
Oh, okay.
And when that employee leaves, it's a pain, because I did this when I was in, on the others over here, I did it for our church. 2 years later, they called me in Oregon saying, we can't get to the miles because they're all in my name.
Right.
Because I'd left 2 years earlier. So that's the problem with it. I don't know why Alaska Airlines does that, but they want, yeah, it's more for a corporation where here's the corporate president, they're doing it. It's not like for a city where they come and they go. So
Well, thank you. I was curious on why we
that's
haven't
the
done that.
hardest part, is finding somebody who'll put their name down there. That's,
The school does it, so.
yeah.
They've
And they
gotta have a
must
way
have
to do it.
somebody over there who's put their name on it. I don't know who.
Probably sitting behind you.
Probably.
Yeah.
So when he leaves, he takes all the miles with him.
No.
No, I
we
don't-
have a
Yeah, I
mileage
know,
plan
but it's
number
in there.
That is the city's, and that can be on the
But,
card.
but if it's tied to this card thing, that person's who guarantees it has to sign for you to use those miles.
Oh, that's
So,
already the
so,
case.
so
It's in my
if he
plan.
leaves mad,
But I
oh, you have to fight to get your miles back, somehow.
All right, thank
I
you.
have-
That's the problem. There's a file on the desk. I've got all the information. I just need a name. Who wants to guarantee if we don't
Well,
pay our
maybe we
bill,
can
they're gonna
ask-
pay for us?
Ask the school district how they do theirs.
Yeah.
Maybe they have someone to contact, because
I
I have a business
I can
card
ask
and I don't
Kristen.
have them on my personal
um,
one, so I don't know how
Because
that.
I called them when I first got here and they needed a personal guarantor.
I've got a business card too, so I'm not sure
So,
Yeah,
why
but
that is.
you own the
doesn't
business.
go to my mileage number.
Who owns this business?
I got you.
All those people out there and
I mean,
so,
I don't have city miles in my
No.
mileage account.
Yeah.
I have
city
control
account.
of the city mileage number.
Yeah.
And it's linked to my Alaska Airlines. But,
Yeah.
so I'd be willing to put my social security number on the card.
yeah, so that's what it is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Topic for another discussion.
Allison, did you,
No, I'm all right.
anybody else questions for Dean while we have him up here?
How long are you gonna be here?
I'm here till next Thursday and then I'll be back in January. She wants me back the first 2 weeks of January,
For how long?
for 2 weeks in January. And then she'll figure out what she's gonna, probably by then she'll know what she wants to do. I don't know if I'll be back to do audit or if she'll get somebody hired, who knows?
So are you aware that we have a position that we're advertising that's open that you could apply for?
On his
You know,
retirement,
I
not
retired
working
in
out.
February.
Well, this is a great place to retire to.
So,
As long as you're spreading the word out there as you travel around.
yeah.
Proselytize for
We
us.
appreciate you.
You'll tell all the Italians.
I'm gonna say, next stop's Rome, so I'll let
Mhm.
anybody know that speaks English.
Italian speaking finance
There you go.
director.
Yeah,
Thank you very
might be kind of good. So,
Just-
but if you have any questions, stop in. I'm there from 7 in the morning till around 5:36 at night, putting this stuff together. And the next thing we're working on is budget. So a lot of what you're talking about, we're gonna be working on. Helen's got the directors working on some stuff now, taking what Ellen started, and we're gonna kind of flesh it out, and get it balanced, so. So when I think she's got a couple of more meetings scheduled with you guys, so hopefully we'll have some answers for everything and have more detail.
All right,
Oh, okay.
thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you. Okay, audience comments regarding any agenda items. Come on up.
Barb Jewell, mile 2.2 Whiteshed Road. I wanted to speak to the minutes from your last meeting and the discussion from the hospital board about the meeting that was held at CCMC with NVE. And it was very nice to have the folks from NVE come and be present at least to field questions, even if they didn't have any answers at this point. What I wanted to point out was that in the discussion, in addition to people wondering what would happen with positions, there was a fair bit of conversation about the need for transparent communication with the employees as well as with community members, that the term collaboration was different from transition to tribal health, that a variety of terms had been used besides collaboration, including takeover, merger, that kind of thing, and that there was a real urgency to ensuring that the city was addressing the quality of and access to appropriate healthcare services, as opposed to just how much does it cost to have the hospital in the community. So I just wanted to flesh out that report. I wasn't here, so maybe that was reported and just not reflected in the minutes. But I wanted to make sure that there was an understanding that people are much more concerned than just whether or not they're going to have their job. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to chairperson, representative board and commissions. Greg Meyer from CCMC isn't here, but he did email me a little update if you guys want me to just go through the 5 points. All right, number one, they now have flu shots. Communications with MVE is going good. We're putting together the requests information so they can get their assessment done. Can't release most of this information until their lawyer gets the paperwork back to us. Their lawyer is holding a few things up, mainly a non-disclosure agreement, but they're working with the lawyers to get that done. They're doing a community health assessment done. Barb Jewell is doing a great job putting this survey together. They're doing the assessment in-house with their staff, and they're saving about $20,000. They're getting a CFO to help the CEO, Randall. They're feeling a little behind on their books again and feel it's essential to not get behind. And I'll forward this to the clerk so she can have it too. And then I can't really answer any questions on that, but I think you guys know who to talk to. School board rep, Jewel or Alex?
So a couple of things. We met last week to establish our board and district goals for the upcoming year. And forgive me, I have to reference the pictures I took with my phone because I haven't had a chance to transcribe them. But it was a good discussion identifying both the things we felt like we had accomplished, our strengths and weaknesses, and then also what we perceived as some opportunities and threats upcoming this next year. So again, we identified for our goals that we want to do more outreach and communication to the community. We want to focus on advocacy, both within the community and the state, not only with the legislature, but with other regulatory bodies that impact our functioning, perhaps including ASA. We're looking at really focusing on intentional communication with folks in the community so that they understand the changes that we're making and why, and also what our needs are and why. And we want to focus on our curriculum and making sure that curriculum is strong and appropriate and well-reviewed. And the last is to focus on our facility needs and really coming to an understanding of what those facility needs are. We'll be working on identifying the tasks that we're going to need to undertake to meet those goals, but that's where we stand at the moment. I think the other piece that I would mention is that you probably have seen out on Facebook that our fundraising campaign has begun in earnest. And we spoke as a board about how we will be communicating out about the intent of that fundraising campaign, which really is to support all activities at our school, particularly because our costs look like they've increased by about $100,000 because of the ferry schedule, and that the district will be bearing some of that burden through our budget and some efficiencies in our budget, and then the fundraising will also be happening to assist with that. And we've discussed using some of those monies not only to help pay our students' travel, but also to help teams travel here so that our students can be seen playing in their hometown. Because we certainly have other communities who say they can't afford to come here, which really restricts our students' capacities to compete and to compete in the hometown. And I think the last thing on my list is that there's been some discussion about a joint work session, which we're very interested and excited to have, and just would love to hear from the council, if that's to occur, what you would like to discuss so we can be prepared.
Anyone from council? Questions, comments?
I would just comment that that was just about the budget so that we could know what you guys are, you know, how the money's, you can understand what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think you probably know this, you know, we don't set our budget necessarily till much later than you all have to make decisions about it, and there's a lot of information that we don't have, so that if we're trying to project a budget in November, might not be really accurate, but anything we can add to the conversation, certainly we will.
Baylor?
And on a lighter side of it, if you do get a team to come here, let's say basketball, a separate can, if you had donations to help pay, I would gladly pay double the cost to get in if I knew that that's what it was going to do. I'd get the word out for the public. I'm not a big fan of paying for somebody to shoot baskets, but someone wants to pick up trash or do something good to the community or put on an event like that, then I think a lot of people feel better about contributing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'll take that feedback back for sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, student council rep.
So we had a student council meeting yesterday, and the student council meeting was only about vaping. And so we had a presentation from Chris, who works at the Prince William Sound Science Center. He brought 2 sets of pig lungs. One was a healthy pig lung, and one was addicted to nicotine, either through tobacco use or vaping. And so he inflated both of them, or he attempted to, and the healthy lung inflated perfectly fine, and the nicotine addicted lung obviously did not, and it was all black. The healthy lung was red and looked like it was healthy, obviously. And this presentation was recorded, and at the high school now we do video announcements instead of over the PA system. And so for the week of November the 4th through the 8th of this year, there's a planned vaping awareness campaign at the high school. And so we're going to have 5 little episodes of him doing that sort of thing, and it's going to accompany the video announcements. And there are going to be flyers in the bathrooms and down the halls to show awareness about what vaping actually does, because it's harmful to not only student bodies, but to human bodies in general. So that's all I have to report. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Baylor?
PISWAC update. We're putting
Okay,
that on,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I'm the representative for the city, and I'm going to put Ken and Dave on the spot to help me out there, though. But they had their fall meeting here, actually in this room, which was nice. They hired Tommy Sheridan, I believe the contract signed. They hired Tommy Sheridan to run the corporation, which is a great thing for Cordova. I think it'll be outstanding. Plus, he lives here. He loves living here, so that's a big plus. We did get more Cordovans on the executive committee, and I'll ask you guys to help me on that, because it's a big deal when Cordovans serve on the executive committee, because they're the ones that I think Kenny did last year, spoke up to get these meetings, to keep them in Cordova, and to keep a lot of this business running through Cordova when there's sometimes an effort to maybe transfer it up to Anchorage. So
Constant effort.
there you go. But could you tell us, the locals who's on? I know Kenny, you're on.
Aaron?
You're
I'm an alternate.
alternate on
And
the executive
I
committee?
was an alternate last year. I was on the executive committee the year before, and then I was an alternate the year before that. The last 2 years, I've actually asked to be an alternate, so I don't have to fly up to Anchorage to attend the meetings. I can just stay here and attend on the phone. We did get video conferencing capabilities, so now members of the public can attend those meetings that happen in Anchorage by coming into the office and listening on the phone and watching on the TV screen in the conference room. So that's really cool. Yeah, Tommy, that's the big news coming out of that meeting, and the news release will be coming out probably in the newspaper here in the next edition. Got some challenges coming forward with Cordova Air not flying this winter. So that's going to affect the corporation's ability to get produce out of Cordova to the sites. Still trying to figure that out, or we might have to move all that through Anchorage, unfortunately. Yeah, there's a
Who's
lot going
the
on.
Executive committee now?
What's that?
Executive committee?
So Tracy Newsy, Darren Gilman, Tai Losi,
Tom Carpenter.
Tom Nelson, and Tom Carpenter are the executive committee, and then Tim Moore was reelected as chairman, and vice chairman is Eli Johnson.
I guess the importance of that
no.
is those are all
No, sorry.
Cordovans.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The vice chairman is sorry, Eli was last year. It's
Mike.
Mike Babick, and then Eli Johnson is elected the treasurer. So a lot of Cordovans representing on the corporation, and it's good to see.
And I think the big discussion was educating the public. You know, we came out with that McDowell report last year, but just what this fishery does for the, not only this community, but the state and the world really as far as feed. So, because there is some pressure against hatcheries. So there, I think a little effort's going into that. So it's good deal. Good for Cordova.
Yeah, thank you. Approval of consent calendars. Before we do the roll call, is there any questions, comments, amendments to that item? Seeing none, roll call.
David Gleason,
Yes.
Ken Jones,
Yes.
Melina Meyer,
Yes.
Ann Schaefer,
Yes.
David Allison,
Yes.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Jeff Guard.
Yes.
Consent calendars approved.
All right, approval of minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of 10/2/19, the council public hearing, and the minutes from 10/2/19, council regular meeting.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, minutes are approved. There's no considerations of bids. We have reports from officers, mayor's report. He didn't leave me with anything or write anything, so manager's report.
Just say I'm truly thankful for the opportunity and wish you good luck moving forward.
Thank you so much for all the years that you've put into
Welcome.
being the city manager. Any other questions, comments? All right, seeing none, city clerk.
Nothing specific to report on. I'll hand out a schedule, and we'll talk at pending agenda of what Helen has left for how we're going to go about the next few meetings for budget.
Any questions, comments for the clerk? Seeing others, none. Staff reports. We got quite a few in there. Any council member have any? Baylor?
Yeah, the UBS report, I've been going through that, and I'm not going to get into all the detail at this point. I think we get through this budget process, we need to sit down and take a good look at this. And I would mention something I'd learned at the PISWAC board meeting, which I didn't realize, is they actually had in their policy that they review and actually go off an RFP every 5 years on their financials. And they were with UBS, and they're now with
Merrill
Wells
Lynch.
Fargo, I think.
Merrill Lynch.
Merrill Lynch?
Merrill Lynch.
Yeah, because they found that better rates and all around better situation. So I think we got too much on our plate right now to get into this, but I think we need, maybe as soon as we get through the budget, we should probably take this up and see what options we have.
I was just gonna add to that, that they changed their auditing firm also, and it saved them like 30%
Hmm.
just by putting it out to RFP. And that guy did a pretty darn good job,
Hmm.
their new guy. He was way cheaper.
All right, correspondence.
I guess one more, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
And I just, for staff, put these together, they're not here, but, you know, personally, I think the rest of us probably did. I did go through these, and I did read them and did understand them, and I think they're doing a great job. They're doing the best they can. I don't have any, certainly don't have any negative comments, maybe that harbor, but the, but actually, the harbor, I do, and I've actually mentioned this to the harbor master at different times. I feel that the people that don't use slips, like myself, that just have a puker boat and it's $80 a year, I think that's way too cheap. And then I know that it goes back to enforcement, but I think the Harbor Commission should take a look at that. Because I and others get to use that nice harbor and all of its facilities, help me out there, the boom, the lift, anything I want to, if it's for $80 a year, and everybody else is paying $1,000 a month or whatever the price is. So I don't know. I just think they should look at that if there's a way.
I think we'll do that with the budget when we approve the.
Well, I don't know.
fees and all
We
the
got
fee
Harbor Commission
schedules,
members
so.
and the Harbor Master here, but I just, enforcement, get the police, I don't know. Just a note I think we should look at. Oh,
Jason, did
yeah.
you- did you
I was
raise
just
hand?
wondering, is that your launch permit that you're talking about that's $80?
I get to use the ramp for $80 a year.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's way too cheap.
The ramp or anything that's in there.
They'll get a bill.
I haven't used it yet.
There's the thinking about it, Bill.
Anyone else on the staff reports? Allison?
Just the same lines on those staff reports. Thanks for the staff for getting those to us, and I do read them and look through them. Don't always have a lot of questions, but just so staff knows that they are being paid attention to, and it is important information for us, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll just echo those comments too. The harbor one does point out to me whenever I do look at them. I don't really know what I'm looking at too much, but I don't know what I particularly need either for constructive criticism on it.
One time
Uh-huh.
when the harbor, you'd done a big project fixing a bunch of stuff around, and there were photos that were sent around. So it was nice because I don't know anything about harbor structures. So it was nice to be able to see what had actually happened. But it does not a big deal. But it's nice to see.
Anything else on the staff reports? All right, correspondence. Questions, comments on the correspondence?
I have a comment about number 15 about the White Shed rock slide mitigation. I know we did receive a letter that was not timely for the packet this week, but it was from a member of the community that lives out White Shed asking for the city to write a letter of support or have some sort of resolution in support of the project. So, and I'd be in favor of doing that and submitting personal comments as well, but I think if we can, I think it would make a great statement to show that the city is in support of the project.
Gleason and then
I
Bailey?
also got the same. I got a call from somebody that lives out there asking us to do that. So I'm in favor of that too. Something that the mayor can whip up, or the vice mayor.
The clerk will sign.
Well,
Yeah.
except that the comment period closes before our next regular meeting.
Right, so I guess
So
I
a
would
letter
ask
could be-
concurrence
letter.
from council. If everybody agreed to that, maybe we could just have the mayor or vice mayor write a letter representing us and put the right words in. I think we all agree, right?
Yeah.
All nods?
I concur.
Yeah, and then just include it in the next packet.
Okay.
But I want
Yeah,
after
get
after it's
get it
sent.
sent off, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
just so we can see it.
And they were very descriptive about what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
It's like they know exactly what's going on.
And the city is somewhat involved with that process already, is that correct? No? So that doesn't have to do with the redoing White Shed with the bike path and widening and stuff,
separate.
separate, all right? All right. When I first saw it, I thought it was kind of connected, so thanks for that clarification.
And
Um,
and then just to comment on number 14, Mr. Smith, I'm sorry you didn't get your letter, and you should have, and I see that he did get it, and I think others didn't get their notification, but that'll get straightened out, and thank you very much for applying.
Allison?
Yes, I have a couple of different comments on different items here. Bob Smith's letter, I too appreciate him applying. I've been part of council off and on for 30 years, and I think Bob has applied every time the position comes up, and quite honestly, his application is getting better every time. And I appreciate his effort. You know, Bob is Bob, and he does the city a good service. He's on our fisheries committee, and he says a lot of things sometimes that are a little bit off, but he's always honest, and sometimes that might hurt some people, but he says it how he sees it, and I appreciate him and all locals for applying for these positions, so I appreciate that. On the chambers, letter. I'm assuming here that we don't have to do anything to get them their money, but I'd just like to pass on appreciation as we, write them their quarterly check for subsidizing their efforts up there. I think they do a good effort on behalf of the community, and send out appreciation and thanks to them as well.
All right, we'll talk about 15A that was added kind of last minute. It was a last minute letter that ND asked for support of their grant applications for submitting their grant. And I talked it over with the mayor, but he was out of town, so I signed the letter, but it's in there on page 52. So, nothing left on correspondence. I'll move to ordinances and resolutions. 16 on page 53, Resolution 10-19-44, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cordova, Alaska, authorizing amendment to the FY19 budget in the amount of $269,000 to purchase the refuse vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just same thing I said in the work session, that we are getting paid back $44,000 a year. So it's, we had to do this, and we are getting paid back. So I'm in favor of this.
Allison?
Yeah, just the point of clarification, I guess, is this is essentially been approved already. It's just moving it to the correct budget year, since it wasn't expended in the budget year that it was originally approved in. We're just moving that to the current budget year. So,
Any other discussion? Seeing none.
It's a roll call.
Yeah, roll call vote?
Thank you. Melina Meyer,
Yes.
Ken Jones,
Yes.
Ann Schaefer,
Yes.
Jeff Guard,
Yes.
David Allison.
yes.
David Gleason,
Yes.
Tom Baylor.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. 7-0, I haven't said that in a while.
All right, so unfinished business, so there's none. New and miscellaneous, number 17, page 55. Council action on disposal and method of disposal of parcels 2, 3, 4, and 6 along Orca Road.
So moved by negotiating an agreement with Alaska Department of Transportation to purchase for less than fair market value.
Second.
Motion and a second. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I mean, I'm in support of it. This is a huge project that Alaska Department of Transportation has been working on with the city, with the watershed project. It's a benefit to the city to do the culvert replacement project on Orca Road. And I think it'll be a huge improvement for the infrastructure out there. And it's been a collaborative process the whole way. And yeah, I'm in support.
Allison?
Yeah, I'd echo that, and also point out that the Planning Commission has looked at this and unanimously approved it as well, so.
Any other discussion, council?
Question?
You have a question?
Question?
Call for a question? Any objections? Seeing none, is this a roll call? No.
No.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. Number 16 on page 67, council action on disposal method of disposal of lots 3 for Block 8 original town site.
So I move to approve to dispose lots 3 and 4, Block 8, original town site, and the improvements thereon as outlined in Cordova Municipal Code 5.22.060B by negotiating an agreement with the Chamber of Commerce to lease or purchase the property.
Second.
Motion and a second. Would you like to speak to your motion?
The chamber is a great partner. They're doing a lot of good work down there. So I'm supportive of them staying in the building that they are. I don't see any reason for them to leave, unless they wanted to. But I did have a question. Is the idea to keep it with the $1 per year agreement and have that as an in-kind with the chamber in the negotiations? Do we know?
So that's a city council decision. With this, the final lease will come forward for approval again. So based upon your direction at this meeting, it would probably come in the dollar format unless I hear otherwise.
I think it needs to stay that way, or they're just gonna ask us for money
Yeah.
to cover that, so.
Yeah.
Give them 80 and charge them 90, is that what you're saying?
Jones, did you want to talk about second?
I think the chamber does good for the community and need to continue to support their efforts.
Any other discussion before I say what I say? Okay. I'm very supportive of the chamber. I would like us to move away from owning buildings and leasing them out for $1 and doing all the maintenance and other problems that come up with that, because in our budget, it looks like we give them $90,000, but then when you put in the lease and the maintenance and all the extra time, comes out to be more than that. So I will be in favor of going forward with a lease, because I don't think that we should just kick them out of the place that they currently are. I think that they're a good asset to the community and a good partner for the city. But I would like us to try to get away from owning buildings and being responsible for all the maintenance for them too.
Okay, and but that being said, and I think Dave can concur with this, the chamber hasn't always done a great, outstanding job. It has since Kathy took over, I'll put it that way. There was discussion before about not funding it. So I would not be in favor of selling it. I think this way city does have control, and just I'll leave it at that. So, but they're doing a great job now.
Mhm.
And that started when she took over.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I'm not trying to be against the chamber or anything. They are doing a great job. Kathy is doing a great job with the chamber. Any other discussion? Right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Right, motion carries. Just pending agenda. Let's
So,
see,
meeting with local law enforcement, all 3 agencies.
Is that already on pending agenda, or is
I
that
don't know.
something you want to add to
I
pending
would,
agenda?
if it's not on there, we should, so we can
I'd
talk
second that.
to Hicks and state troopers in the Forest Service to see if we can get together and
Attorney efficient.
We want it so that we can discuss it for our budget purposes, so we don't want to do it next spring. We want to
Yeah,
do it right away.
law enforcement budget discussion. So it may go into a work session possibly.
Yeah.
That might be the proper
At least
place
2
for it.
hours, probably.
yeah, I would make it a longer one.
when are we gonna do that? Because, I mean, we're trying to do our own budget. I know Helen planned for her next budget to be presented to you before the November 6th meeting. So that seems like a lot of time in between, but she's got, a plan in place that staff knows about, and they're, relooking at everything. Do you want to direct her to get with Hicks and get with maybe other entities and see what she can bring you? Or, I mean, I don't know. It's up to you.
It would be nice to talk to them and ask them questions. I mean, we could do it next Wednesday.
I mean, it's a big chunk of our
It's a big effort.
deficit.
Sure, it's
So,
your decision.
If we can,
Okay,
just-
but
mean-
I don't know that she is not here. next
After the
Wednesday.
23rd, I think.
I think all we'd be finding out is what the other agencies are willing to do and what Mike can work with. I mean, I don't, I don't want to make Mike's job harder, but if he can work with 3 police officers, that's counting benefits like $500,000.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell me exactly what you want me to do. You want to schedule a meeting next Wednesday, so the 23rd.
As long as it's okay with everybody else.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know, okay.
So
guess-
state troopers, a representative that makes decisions, and Forest Service, I think there's 2 Forest Service cops. And then Mike.
But not your city manager.
Oh, no, I'm not saying.
Well, she's not gonna be there. She's back on the 28th.
We could still find out stuff, though. We could still,
Well, it could be the 5th or the,
it's not like we'd be
Do it the
making a
30th.
decision, but
Yeah.
we get some information.
Yeah, but the manager needs this information at the same time.
How about the
do it
30th?
then?
Yeah.
That's an extra
Yeah.
great.
Wednesday.
Okay. 6 o'clock work session, couple hours maybe.
Yeah.
That's 2 days after Thanksgiving, just throwing that out there.
October 30th.
October
Oh,
3rd.
October 3rd. Yep, I'm wrong. Yeah.
Night before Halloween, though.
Yeah.
I won't be here, but if it's online, I'll watch it, either
Okay.
live or later.
Well, I guess I'll throw this out. This isn't the first time Mike's had to come in and justify his budget, so he knows the routine and he knows what he's gonna have to bring, and we'll have some questions, and, I mean, it's a big ask. We should find out.
Guard?
Before we go down the road as a council of trying to figure out who else we can get to help pay for our law enforcement needs, do we want to have a philosophical discussion about what level of law enforcement needs we think we have in the community, instead of just keep trying to?
Is that a discussion we can have with them, though? Because, I mean, I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
they would have
That
perspective.
was my question, but there's information that Mike's gonna have that will greatly impact that, like how much, the manning requirements for the Alaska Airlines stuff, and how much that hinges upon whether or not we keep a jet, because it had been my understanding at some point is if we walked away from that one, we were gonna lose jet service here because there is no TSA security.
First thing out of Chief Hicks's mouth is gonna be, how much coverage you want? You want 8-hour coverage? You want 24-hour coverage? You want 16-hour coverage? What do you want? And he'll do, he can tell us how many staff it takes to do that.
It's just 2 flights.
And that's
No,
what I would like to find out.
understand.
And he should, one of the, how many calls do you have after 9 o'clock at night? I mean, that should tell you, right? That's, again, for me, the town is all peace and quiet. I have no idea what goes on. I don't close the bars up. So, yeah, how many call outs do you get in the evening? What's your demands on your police force? Justify it. That's all. I mean, it's no different than, we're gonna ask the city clerk or anybody else on this budget to justify why they need the numbers, so. And then you're right, we have to decide, geez, there's a lot of action. It's gotta be slower in the wintertime. Can we get by? I don't know, there's questions that, he's been through the routine and he'll have the answers, I'm sure.
All right, any,
So do we want to have that discussion
Combination.
before we have the discussion? Because I don't see this having a lot to do with Forest Service enforcement and state trooper enforcement and that stuff, until we kind of got an idea of what we're asking them. Because if we just ask them to come in and sit down with us, or we're trying to figure out what we want to ask them, may not get us where we want to go very fast.
But they could still provide us with the same type of information that Chief Hicks can, as, how many times you have to pull your gun in the summertime, how many, or, I mean, that's the other extreme, but, how many calls do they have? How actively busy are they? I guarantee you, if we have an active shooter in this town, everybody with a gun is gonna be helping out.
But there are jurisdictional issues too, and I don't know what Forest Service enforcement can legally do jurisdictionally with enforcing laws in the city of Cordova. And, you know, I guess that the troopers pretty well got all that covered, but
Well, maybe it wouldn't hurt to invite them because they might not even show up. I mean,
Right.
Well, I wouldn't, I don't want to be in charge of sending them an email and inviting them and not telling them exactly what you guys
Well,
want
I
or
think-
what to prepare for.
I think we're trying to assess the law enforcement needs of the community and their active parts of the community. So we want to invite them to be part of the discussion.
Like
And
if there's
I
a
think that-
duplication somewhere that we can,
If there are efficiencies
Yeah.
that we can find. Yeah. Baylor?
So I think council's kind of spoken on this. The city manager, our new incoming city manager probably understands that she can go out and ask questions. You know, she can talk to them, see if they need to come in or get the answers. So I think we'll just go with it and see. Yeah.
Well, and then if we're doing it the week before she's presenting her budget based off this draft, that might be a good timing. And we can comment on what council thinks about the coverage and what we need based off of conversation we have. with
In the
law
meantime, I have no doubt we're going to get some public input on this before that meeting.
And I think we're trying to call out for public input, I guess, a little bit too, so. Anything else to go on the future agenda?
So after we have our one on the 6th, are you guys good with, we're going to do the 13th with the school board? Or,
So the next budget work session is November 6th.
yes?
Thank you. The 13th for the school,
Yes.
they already have a school board meeting.
Before theirs, we thought we could
Okay.
do a 1 hour. If they are amenable to that.
Would we go there for that?
That works for me.
Yeah, I would imagine your place is easier since you're meeting there after. So that's a yes. And then November 20th is the second regular meeting in November. Helen and I, well, I'll be back that day, but Tina and I both are going to AML. And Helen will be at AML, and Melina will be at AML. But it's up to you. I just don't know how we're going to have a packet. I guess we can play that. Well, I'm even here the Friday before, so we can play that by ear, see what comes up, I guess, if we have to do a special instead. Helen's overall goal is going to be budget approval and fee schedule approval on December 18th. So she has the 6th, November 6th with you, and and December 4th with you, and I guess now also October 30th, but I know she's not going to have her full budget to give you October 30th, but maybe there are some things she can work with you on even after the law enforcement piece. Maybe I'll just put 2 agenda items for that work session.
Maybe the week after AML, we can have a special budget meeting if need be.
Well,
That's,
I don't think she's around that.
oh, that's Thanksgiving.
And it's Thanksgiving, yeah.
Gotta go to the other end of the,
Seems pretty.
Is there a reason that we're starting at 6? We got like 45 minutes for the work session. We've been starting at 5:30.
It's up to you if you want to do
So
5:30.
council, I mean, we didn't get through
No,
about 5
half it,
pages.
so maybe stay at 5:30 instead of 6?
Yeah.
okay. How about the one on the 30th with law enforcement people? 6 or 5:30 on that one?
6.
6.
So then, and school board one on the 13th is 6, right?
Mhm.
But just the budget work session on November 6th will be 5:30.
So the 30th, we're staying at 6?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what about on the 20th? What's that one? We got 6 o'clock again on that?
Well, sure, I mean, she's not going to be here on that day, so we certainly shouldn't be having
No.
I was just wondering if we weren't going to have that regular
I think we'll just have to see when it comes.
meeting.
On, which one is that?
November 20th, she'll be at AML. I actually get in that day, so we can have a special meeting. I'm doing, I think, Saturday to Wednesday. Alina will be gone. I don't know what Clay's schedule is, but if enough of you can have a regular meeting and staff has things, we'll have the November 20th meeting. But probably not the budget work session without the manager.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we can do different days of the week and throw things in if it doesn't look like we're accomplishing enough quickly enough. She seemed pretty confident, and
I guess concur with her and see what works.
So if we're missing the meeting on the 20th, could we move it to like the 26th?
we can't really move a regular meeting. We can cancel a regular meeting and have a special meeting on that day.
I move a meeting.
I mean, you can't, it's in code
Oh,
when we have
I
a regular.
understand. But if we needed to, we could,
Absolutely.
have a special
Well,
meeting.
26th, except that's 2 days before Thanksgiving, right? Oh, well,
Day before.
oh, the 27th?
Yep. No, 28th, I'm sorry. 28th is
26th.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm looking at,
Tuesday.
anyway,
Why don't we schedule that at the
November 6th
the
meeting. we'll
November
decide.
6th
I wasn't
meeting?
saying to schedule one, I'm just
Oh.
saying if we need, because it's looking like we're not gonna have many times to get all of our budget stuff answered.
All right, there was a resolution that I wanted to put on for our next meeting of supporting the CCMC Authority Board, working with NBE Tribal. I think that we need to officially come out with something, just kind of an idea I had, if anyone else goes along,
Second.
thinks
I'd
about it.
support that.
I think that would give the community a chance to come and talk to us about their feelings too, and I think that's a really important step that should have been taken already.
Anybody else has some ideas on what exactly that resolution should be said? Otherwise, I'll look at it and then get to Jones.
Well, I guess if we're talking management, that's all the CCMC Authority Board is charged with. Now, if we're talking some other structure, then council is gonna have to be the ones making that decision anyway, not the CCMC Authority Board. So I think any resolutions that say council and the authority board are, looking into these options, like was commented earlier tonight, really, it's just an information gathering at this stage. Nobody has made any proposal to either side about any of these words that have been thrown out: merger, takeover, collaboration. We know we want to work with them. How that is going to be is still anybody's guess, but we do certainly want to work together. So, however a resolution could be written, I'm not too keen on resolutions, but however it needs to be stated, there's just so many questions out there right now with not a lot of answers to give, and hopefully those answers will be forthcoming shortly. But
Gordon?
I don't know that we so much need to put the council in there right now, because the only thing that's going on is CCMC board is working with NBE to see if they can come up with some kind of format. No action's gonna be taken, nothing can be done without approval of the council, and this is just the council saying, we support the CCMC board and working with NBE.
Exploring
Yeah,
tribal.
that's all it is. I mean, it's not nothing's getting done.
I just think it's necessary for us to
Yeah.
do something when things come up, letters come up, whether we support something, it'd be easier that we have a resolution to go to,
Because then it's permanent and we can go back and look at it also if
we need
somebody's
something
doing
in writing that
research
we
in
vote
20
for, I
years.
feel like.
But we don't have any say at all over, if we're not taking any responsibility or control over it, then why do a resolution? We've already, the city has voted on it, the people have voted those people in to be the CCMC Authority Board. It's already clear their charge in our code, what they're responsible for. And I guess I'm not against any resolution. I just think it's meaningless to do if you're not gonna
This isn't
say
pending
anything.
agenda anymore.
We're
Maybe
debating.
If two of you want to put the resolution and then debate it at the next meeting.
Sounds good. I think me and
But
Jones
I
will do
didn't-
something.
Sorry. but-
Any other discussion on the resolution?
I guess just to point out to the clerk that we weren't debating the resolution itself. We were debating, you had asked what to put on the resolution. And so that's what I was saying, that to include.
I guess I
this,
did
yeah.
kind of open it up, sorry.
So, and I guess my question is,
Taylor.
with your resolution, I don't know what the purpose is, but if the purpose is to include public comment, then we could put something on the agenda, include public discussion on it, you know. I mean, it would be, rather than any kind of resolution, just discussion of however you want to word it. Give that some thought, and whichever way you want to go,
All right.
we'll see.
Two of
Will
you
be two
say
of
to
us.
put a resolution on though, so yes.
Me
Two
and
of you
Jen.
said yes to a resolution, so that's what's going on. I guess you can,
We could change it and
Change
get
your
it back
mind.
to you, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you.
Anything else to go on pending agenda? Nope. All right. Audience participation. Anybody want to come up and?
Lambaste us.
Good evening. Kathy Renfeld, Cordova Chamber of Commerce. Do I have to give a address for that?
We got you.
Okay, I think you know lots 3 and 4. So yeah, I just wanted to come up and say thank you for agreeing to work with us to stay in our location a little longer or for the foreseeable future. We are in a stage of growth right now at the Chamber, and I appreciate your support and kind words. We are working really hard. We have a strong board. We have a strong staff. We have strong partners and strong support from the city, and that is equating to strong work, I think. And we only continue to do more of that. To give you an update, even on the update that was in your packet, something that's not included on there that I've been working on that I think you guys would be interested to hear about is I put forth a policy proposition to the Alaska State Chamber to ask them to support Alaska Marine Highway System service and reform. And there's one time of the year where you can put a policy proposition forward to the Alaska State Chamber for consideration. And it is in a window of time leading up to the Fall Forum, which is their annual meeting. And the Cordova Chamber of Commerce, I don't think has ever attended the Fall Forum for the Alaska State Chamber, at least not in the recent past. And we weren't even a member for many years. Many of you may remember the Alaska State Chamber actually came out almost immediately in support of Dunleavy's budget when he put it out. They actually have a strong connection to resource development in the state of Alaska. And so that's kind of been their focus. But it's the framework in which we're built, and there's a lot of power and strength through that framework that I feel like we should make full advantage of. So I put this policy proposition forward, not even knowing if it was going to make it past their Legislative Affairs Committee to even get to the floor for discussion. And it turned out 2 other entities that our state chamber members had put forth similar propositions. So we were able to work together to combine those into one submission, and now I'm co-sponsoring that with Robert Venables from Southeast Conference and Anthony Malat from Sea Alaska. So we're going to be standing together, the three of us, at Fall Forum, presenting this policy proposal. We brought it through the Legislative Affairs Committee, and we had to work the wording so that, and kind of wordsmith it so that we could all agree that it was a proposal we could support. It got watered down a little bit in that process, but I still think it's a really strong stance for support of the importance of the Marine Highway as a really important part of the intermodal transportation system and economy of Alaska, and that it should be, that reform is something that should be considered, and it specifically highlights the AMHS reform project. So I'm excited about that. In the last few days, I have personally reached out to the many other chambers of commerce throughout the state of Alaska, primarily coastal Alaska, and have locked in support for that, I think. So I'm feeling like it's going to move forward on the floor, and it got the recommendation of the Legislative Affairs Committee. So I'm excited about that. And I'll be going there October 28th through the 30th, just to Girdwood to do that. And I just got back from Juneau. My 2 trips of the year are both in the same month. And in Juneau, I was at the Alaska Tourism Industry Association annual convention. So the Chamber of Commerce in Cordova, we are one of the chambers that actually does both Chamber of Commerce work and destination marketing work. And there's not very many chambers around the state that wear both those hats, and we're one that does. The other ones are like Seward and Sitka and a couple others. And so it's interesting to kind of take off the chamber hat, put on the tourism hat, and I made some really good connections there. But I also took the opportunity to, everywhere I went, to say ferry, 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 ferry. Thank you, ferry. So I think it had a very big impact, actually. The chair of the ATIA board and I had a personal conversation. He's very in support of ATIA making a statement in support of the Marine Highway as well. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now on top of everything else. We're also getting ready for the holiday kickoff and tree lighting, which is going to be on December 6th. So if you want to add that to your calendar. So then, as you know, the Holiday Bazaar through Parks and Recs is the 6th and 7th. And we're working even more closely with Susie on that this year. And it's going to be a nice partnership event, I think. And I've also had a meeting today with Mary Babbitt about sobriety celebration, and we're finding more ways to help them and work with them on that as well. So yeah, that's kind of what was going on with us. And just wanted to tell you about that and say thanks for the support, and we'll keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Oh, little
Any
question.
questions?
Yeah, I don't know if it's chamber question, but I see folks in here that I see petitions going on a lot. I don't know if it's chamber, but I didn't know anything about this. And I read the news say oil and gas tax changes reach next step in ballot initiative process. Do you know anything about that?
Do not.
Fair
Oh.
tax.
Well, it's about going after the oil tax. I'm assuming just like recalling the governor, or another to recall that. It was on KTU site.
I'll check it out.
Oh, I don't know what that was about, or if that's a petition that Cordova should sign or not. I don't know.
Okay.
No.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah. Thank you for your work.
Oh.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I think it was about doing away with tax credits.
Oh,
Forming part of SB 21.
Yep.
1.9 billion.
All right, thanks,
All right, thanks.
Kathy. Any other audience comments?
Barb Jewell, Mile 2.2 Whiteshed Road. I just wanted to encourage you to put something on your agenda about where the city council stands in terms of CCMC and health services in Cordova and working with NBE. Whether it's a resolution or an agenda item that clearly states what's going to be discussed, I think it's a great idea to be putting it out there for public input. I think that although Councilman Allison said it's very clear what the role of the health services, the CCMC Authority Board is, I don't think that's very clear in people's mind. It's a fairly complex structure that many people do not understand. And I think there are certainly outstanding questions about how a city asset can have ownership transfer without some kind of public process. From what I can see, we can't give away a car without having a bid or a public process. And so the hospital is a very large asset in the community. And my understanding is owned by the city. Whether or not the governance of the hospital business is under the CCMC Authority Board. So again, I think that's complex and needs public understanding in order for whatever happens to move forward with people's support. Because in order for there to be an effective health system in Cordova, it needs the support of the community. Otherwise, people will choose to go elsewhere. And so I really appreciate the idea of putting it on your agenda. I support that, whether or not it's a resolution, and giving people an opportunity to get information and weigh in and give you input. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other audience comments?
So, Kathy Renfeld, citizen, 308 Railroad Road. I just wanted to make a comment that I don't know how you all felt, but I was very impressed with the search and rescue efforts that were executed, and the combination of efforts within our community. It gave me, although the outcome was not what one would hope, I think it was miraculous that that he was found, and I think it was a success. And it gave me great pride to live in this community, to see it all come together and to see everyone support it and support his family and his friends. So just wanted to say thank you to the community and to the city for supporting the entities that were able to put that on.
Thank you, Kathy, for bringing that up. It was really a countless numbers of people just showed up and ready to help, and were involved with the search. And condolences definitely go out to his friends and families, and thank you everyone who helped in the search. Council comments. I'll start all the way to my right. Baylor.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess Mr. Hicks can answer this question when he shows up. Why are the trash cars that were in accidents, why are they right out front where everybody can see them? It seems like they could be in a better spot. There was a little snafu with the sale of the Coho building, and it was an expensive snafu. And as we go through this budget, we see raises and we see additions and stuff, and I'm all about that. I think we get down to the staff that we need. They need to be trained, we need to take care of them, but also, I've said this before, everybody needs to be held accountable. And this was a very expensive mistake, and it was just a matter of getting a signature. So I get our incoming city manager, she can take a look at that, and then there's some other things, but they need to be addressed. This could come back on the city if they so choose. I think Cordova Telephone is probably not going to do that, but they certainly would be within their right. CCMC, the hospital, I guess for me, I feel very confident if this transfer went over to Native Health that we would continue to have quality health care, and continue to have quality health care, may even improve some. I have no doubt about that. So I do hear some comments about that and concern, but I would not be moving forward with this process personally if I didn't feel very strongly about that. So, and thank you, Mr. Lanning, for your years here, and enjoy Colorado or wherever your next destination is going to be.
I guess I'd echo most of that. But again, I would like to thank our outgoing city manager for the job well done that he's done for us during his 3-year tenure. And I wish him the best of luck on down the road, wherever the road leads.
Yeah, first I'd like to thank Alan. Thanks for all your hard work. Good job. I learned a lot from you. You're always very patient. And then, yeah, I just wanted to take a second to thank everyone who volunteered for the search and rescue efforts this weekend, whether you're out there hiking or donating food, cooking food, donating your time, supplies, helping with logistics, whatever. It was really something to see the community come together, even though it wasn't the outcome that we were hoping for. So thanks, Cordova.
So I'd echo the comments before me, and also thank you, Alan, for your service, and good luck in the future there. I just got to compliment the fire department, volunteer fire department. They were unbelievable getting that search and recovery done. It was amazing to watch Dana Smike, Mike Hicks, Paul Trumbley, and I can't remember her name, but there was a state trooper there. And they brought some assets to bear. A Black Hawk helicopter was flying around in there, and that's actually how they found him. Not the best outcome, but at least the family has their son. So just impressed with our fire department, and we need to make sure they have what they need to operate. So that's all I got.
I'm going to echo all the comments for me too, and thank you, Alan, for your time here, and just say again how impressed I was with everyone in Cordova coming together, and condolences go out. Alan?
Regarding the hospital thing, as you're working up whatever you work up, make sure you're working closely with, which I'm sure you will, with the CCMC advisory board director and the NVE director, so that we don't say something that we're not supposed to say. I think that the chances for raising more questions than answers, because we don't have any answers at this point in time, are pretty great out there. If we try to start making a resolution that says we support one thing or the other, because what we do support is strong, good health care for the community in Cordova. Whatever picture that looks like, we just don't know at this point in time. We're looking at all options to make sure that we can have good, affordable health care for everybody in Cordova. That said, Alan, I too would like to thank you for your time here in Cordova. It hasn't always been easy. We started you out with a budget that was $1 million or $2 million short, and asked you to cut everything a certain percentage, and you came in with that, and you didn't come in with a bunch of extra money to do whatever you wanted to with, and I appreciate the work that you did do here for Cordova. I did, on behalf of council, get him a Cordova care package from the museum and the Lonka Museum to remember Cordova by, so thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Job well done.
All right, no executive session, so last
Move to
one.
adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
That's